Okay, so looking at Excerpt 1, Cersei's instructions. After his sojourn to the land of the dead, Odysseus returns to Cersei, who gives him advice on how to manage his journey home. Consider her explicit instructions to Odysseus. But Cersei sat me down and probed me for details. I told her the whole story, start to finish. Then the queenly goddess laid my course. Your descent to the dead is over. True, but listen closely to what I tell you now, and God himself will bring it back to mind. First, you will raise the island of the Sirens, those creatures who spellbind any men alive, whoever comes their way, whoever draws them too close, off guard, and catches the Sirens' voices in the air. No sailing home for him, no wife rising to meet him, no happy children beaming up at their father's face. The high, thrilling song of the Sirens will transfix him, lolling there in their meadow, round them heaps of corpses, rotting away, rags of skin shriveling on their bones. Race straight past that coast, soften some beeswax, and stop your shipmates' ears so none can hear, none of the crew. But if you're bent on hearing, have them tie your hand and foot in the swift ship, erect at the mast block, lashed by ropes to the mast, so you can hear the siren's song to your heart's content. But if you plead, commanding your men to set you free, then they must lash you faster, rope on rope. And this is Odysseus's version of the events dealing with the Sirens. I want you to consider how his version is different from Cersei's instructions. They swung aboard at once. They sat to their oars in ranks and in rhythm churned the water white with stroke on stroke. And Cersei the nymph with glossy braids, the awesome one who speaks with human voice, sent us a hearty shipmate, yes, a fresh following wind ruffling up in our wake, bellying out our sail to drive our blue prow on, as we, securing the running gear from stem to stern, sat back while the wind and helmsman kept her true on course. At last, and sore at heart, I told my shipmates, friends, it's wrong for only one or two to know the revelations that lovely Cersei made to me alone. I'll tell you all, so we can die with our eyes wide open now, or escape our fate and certain death together. First, she warns, we must steer clear of the Sirens, their enchanting song, their meadows starred with flowers. I alone was to hear their voices, so she said, but you must bind me with tight chafing ropes, so I cannot move a muscle, bound to the spot. Erect at the mast block, lashed by ropes to the mast. And if I plead, commanding you to set me free, then lash me faster, rope on pressing rope. So I informed my shipmates point by point, all the while our trim ship was speeding toward the Sirens' Island, taken on by the brisk wind. But then the wind fell in an instant, all glazed to a dead calm. A mysterious power hushed the heaving swells. The oarsmen leapt to their feet and struck the sail, stowed it deep in the hold, and sat to the oarlocks, thrashing with polished oars, frothing the water white. Now with a sharp sword I sliced an ample wheel of beeswax down into pieces, kneaded them in my two strong hands, and Helios's burning rays, the sun at high noon, and I stopped the ears of my comrades one by one. They bound me hand and foot in the tight ship, lashed by ropes to the mast, and rowed and churned the whitecap stroke on stroke. We were just offshore, as far as a man's shout can carry, scudding close, when the Sirens sensed at once a ship was racing past and burst into their high, thrilling song. Come closer, famous Odysseus, Achaea's pride and glory. Moor your ship on our coast, so you can hear our song. Never has any sailor passed our shores in his black craft until he has heard the honeyed voices pouring from our lips, and once he hears to his heart's content, sails on, a wiser man. We know all the pains that Achaeans once endured on the spreading plains of Troy when the gods willed it so, and all that comes to pass on the fertile earth. We know it all. So they sent their ravishing voices out across the air, and the heart inside me throbbed to listen longer. But once we'd left the sirens fading in our wake, once we could hear their song no more, their urgent call, my steadfast crew was quick to remove the wax I'd used to seal their ears and loose the bonds that lashed me. You have most of the rest of the period to complete both steps 1 and 2 of Activity 5 for Excerpts 1 and 2. What you do not finish in class should be completed for homework. You're going to define the terms that have been bolded for you. You're going to write a synonym or definition by using insert comment out to the side. Then you're going to use either mythweb.com or pantheon.org to look up background information for the shaded terms. You're going to again use insert comment to explain the terms. At this time, you will independently write a quick response in your reading response journal. You're going to express your understanding by responding to the following question. How did the painting give you a different perspective of Odysseus's encounter with the Sirens? For homework, you're going to make sure you complete steps 1 and 2 of Activity 5 on your contrasting points of view handout for both Excerpts 1 and 2. You will need your contrasting points of view handout, dictionary.com, and thesaurus.com. And I'm going to go ahead and close out the lesson. Congratulations! You have completed Lesson 24 of the Odyssey unit. In this lesson, you analyzed a key scene in 2 different mediums. You also began rereading, annotating, and analyzing passages from a critical scene in the Odyssey.